What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Bad Religion. And we're taking a special detour over to the Tested album, which was released on Epitaph at a time when the band had actually moved over to Atlantic, and people will know the story. I've talked about it in a number of videos, but this is from the phase when, for a number of reasons, Brett left the group and concentrated just on the label Epitaph, and the band moved over to Atlantic for a few records, which, fair to say, and I think, Graffin perhaps would have felt this more than others based on what I've read, but the experience working at Atlantic and some of the producers, including Todd Rundgren, who they've been very keen to work with because Graffin was a big fan of his music, it wasn't the greatest working relationship, and, they didn't quite like how the albums played out. And eventually, Brett took care of his addiction issues and I guess buried the hatchet with Bentley, and they came back together for Process of Belief, and on some level, and in some ways, Brett has remained in the band ever since, although my understanding is these days he doesn't tour with them, he just does songwriting and occasionally performances in the LA area. But in any case, this compilation or album came out, and indeed I think compilation is the best way to word it, because it's a few unreleased or non-album tracks mixed with a number of live performances from a tour they did in Germany in '96. So, or I think 95 perhaps. In any case, or no, I think it's actually '96. I think this was released in '97, but the tour from which the material comes, and which, it says on the front here, is '96. In any case, this is a song I can't believe I haven't reacted to. I thought I had, and maybe I did on my old channel, but I keyword search and it's not in my Bad Religion reactions on this channel, so that's my assumption that I must have reacted to it before, because it's one of my favorites, even though it's perhaps a little bit lesser known. It's a non-album track, and it's from a time when maybe some of the fans from the 80s had weren't following them as close because they had gone to a major label. I'm not sure if that was actually the case, but when I talk to people about Bad Religion songs, this is one that I think rarely comes up, but it's a shame, because even though it's a shorter tune, and even though it's only included on a compilation / live album that maybe, fewer people have, because it was only available on record for a while, and then eventually they reissued a CD, I believe. In any case, the song is called Dream of Unity, and it's perhaps Greg at his most pessimistic as regarding humanity and our chances of, continuing to live on some level with a reasonable degree of respect and proper treatment of others as a species, as denizens of planet Earth. Essentially, it's saying that, I had this dream that humans could maybe find different ways to work together and to perhaps at least negotiate and compromise when it comes to their differences and so on, and that we could maybe get all on the same page, that we're all on the same planet and we all share the same fate in that regard. But as we both stray toward more selfish ways, I see we have no control. The first part I was not quoting. The last part, those are direct lines from the tune. And that's really what I think the sentiment is, that it's someone who is perhaps a bit wizened, a bit older, maybe not a young rebel in the way they used to be, or maybe still rebellious, still wanting to create new systems that are less exploitative and oppressive and marginalizing, but recognizing how difficult that is, recognizing, how easy it is to mess things up and how hard it is to work together to make things work. And it's someone who's saying, now I'm pessimistic. Now I don't think that humans will likely be able to figure that out and, move forward into the future in a sort of Carl Sagan-esque manner, but instead will perhaps succumb to cultural and technological adolescence on a species level. So again, it's not the most cheery song, it's not the most optimistic song, and the Sonics, I think, hit on that emotional weight and perhaps, wizened, pessimistic perspective. So let's hear it. This is Bad Religion, a song called Dream of Unity, and it's included on a 1996 compilation / live album called Tested. We see we have no control. Happy holiday season coming up. But no, I try to be as optimistic and Carl Sagan-esque as I can, and ultimately, as I get older, I still feel like I find profound and inspiring people and, share in musical experiences, especially in the last couple of years, and there are things that I think are beautiful in a human sense, but fair to say it's hard not to doom scroll sometimes and think of all the hate, suffering, and violence in the world, and what that says about us in large groups, or in terms of our long-term viability as a species, especially as technology and weaponry continue to advance. It all portends something ominous. So I don't think the song or Greg is entirely out of line for having a moment of cynicism or pessimism regarding humanity and the way, not nature singular. I always say, if anything, human history and anthropology suggests that humans are plastic and can do things and adapt in very different ways. But regarding our long-term viability as a species, sometimes it's easy to be pessimistic, and as you get older and recognize, again, it takes so many people working on things sincerely and with, the best intentions to make large positive impacts, for a great number of people. It usually only takes one jerk, with really bad intentions to make a lot of bad things happen. And so with those type of quantitative or proportional odds, it does seem sometimes like we are Sisyphus walking up the hill with a big old rock and unable to actually get anywhere with it. So I don't think he's out of line for being pessimistic. I think there are other songs where, Greg and Bad Religion more generally at least hold open the possibility of, finding different ways to interact with each other and behave. But it's a heavy tune, and I think rightly so, both sonically and thematically. So big shout out to Bad Religion, big shout out to all the folks who've been commenting, big shout out to Paulie, big shout out to Kim, who shows up in a lot of Bad Religion reactions, big shout out to Ryan. I know you asked for a propaganda reaction a couple weeks ago. That is still coming, I promise, so we'll get there soon. Do let me know what you think of this. I will see you next time. Peace.